Hey everybody, this is Andy Wheelock. I am the OETC EdtechTalk live interviewer for the OETC conference, which is February 14th through 16th in Columbus, Ohio, coming up very soon. I have with me one of the featured speakers, and Leslie Fisher is going to be speaking on Wednesday, February 15th, 1:15 p.m. And she's also doing some other sessions that you'll want to attend, and we're going to talk about those in a second. So Leslie, thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I want to get right into your work and actually your story, because your background is really pretty fascinating. From what I was reading, you're more coming from a technology specific background rather than ed tech per se, and correct me if I'm wrong in that. But can you tell me about your background and and tell me how you got into ed tech?
Yeah, it was a crazy ride. I'll try to be as quick as possible, but if you asked me when I was in college if I would be doing this, the answer would be heck no. I was a music major. I actually was a music major, and my junior year I got introduced to a Macintosh computer while I was working in a music studio as an intern, and I became fascinated with the role that technology had with music. And I just started playing with that technology more and more. I discovered bulletin boards. Then all of a sudden I realized I was having more fun on the technology side than I was on the music side. And much to my parents' sadness, because it meant more time at USC, I dropped out of the music school, got a recording arts degree, and I went into the business school. Because at that point at 1990, there was not a geek major, so to speak. It was just engineering. And so I just wanted to get a basic business degree so I could then figure out how I could be part of technology, for the rest of my life. I went to go buy my own Mac. Bumped into the Apple USC sales representative, and she offered me a gig as an Apple student representative right on the spot. So I did that for the rest of my time at SC. Then I ended up at Apple, and I was a systems engineer in K-12 education. Did that till 97, till 97. And I was let go as part of a massive layoff. I was going to take a year off in golf. Friend of mine needed a website, so I went to a conference to learn about web development a little bit better. And they recognized me as I was sitting in the audience from my time at Apple, and they didn't have a presenter. So they asked if I could present a class that I was actually paying to take. And I presented the class. And then right there, they said, we do 8 conferences a year. Would you like to do them? And I thought, 8 different places to golf. And it was an education technology company. And I never looked for a job after Apple. That was 20 years ago. In March, it'll be 20 years ago. And that's how I got started in EdTech. Never thought I would be part of it, but man, I just absolutely adore what I get to do. So it was an interesting way to get there, but I'm very happy I'm here.
It seems like quite a ride and quite a pulse. Looking back, did you see some of the power of EdTech forming back in those early days?
I would say yes and no. I always look back to those days and chuckle, because websites were really the big thing. And I would just present about websites, and then it became digital cameras. So I added digital photography to that. And then when Web 2.0 sites came out, that's when I began to see and go, hold on, this is pretty cool. This is how, for me, I love research, and I'm a little dyslexic. So if you leave me on my own to do my own research, and then you give me someone who is a trusted educator to help augment that, that's my perfect scenario. And when I saw websites, I began to realize, well, hold on, I can do my own research to back up what's not making sense to me, and then I can go to these trusted educators and get that additional content. And then, of course, it was the explosion of mobile devices. And I really think that was the big change, especially in EdTech, because we now all of a sudden had an ability to search quickly, and we had it in a very price-effective price point. But also, we have students walking into classrooms with those devices, and they already know how to use them. And I think it's really cool that device that some people will say they're addicted to, and that's a whole other talk, but it's also that device that they're searching and educating themselves with. And that's when I really saw this explosion. And no, I didn't see it coming, but I'm really glad we're here.
So you started with Apple, and as I look at your website, a lot of your presentations and your hands-on sessions are with Google now.
Yeah,
tell me about maybe your just overall flavor of what's going on with EdTech and all the major companies from Microsoft, and then kind of transition into your work with Google and what they're doing and what you're doing, showcasing Google.
Yeah, well, I'll try and take that as a two-parter. One of the things I've noticed about us is we tend to do things us humans in an extreme way. And I think that's just because that's how we learn. And I tend to do that as well. I'll ferret and ferret and ferret until I find as much content as I can to then put together what I think is my theory on how best to present it to people. And I think we do that, especially as educators, because we have a desire to learn and we have a desire to educate. So I think we over podcasted. I think we over wikied. I think we overbought iPads. I think we over blogged. I think we overdid everything. But that's what I would expect of us as educators, because that's how we go through the learning process. And then it kind of, the dust settles and it becomes what it is, so to speak. And I think we're over Googling, to be honest with you. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that now all of a sudden we have Google that is offering us some pretty cool stuff at a great price point. And we now also have Chromebooks, which are at a very affordable price point and give us quite a bit. And we're all jumping on that bandwagon. And I think we're almost jumping on it to an extreme, but that's what I expect from us. I think in the future we're going to see kind of what I'd say is a settling, you know, and we see this a lot, where we'll see a settling of technology, so to speak, and everything will find its proper place. So yeah, I do a lot of Google, but I would fail educators as a presenter if I wasn't able to represent the tools that are out there that I think are good and that are also being used quite a bit. So not only do I represent Google, but if someone said we're 100% iPad or 100% Android, as an effective presenter, I need to be able to represent how those people can go about doing that. I know I said we're over Googling, but at the same point, we're over Googling because they're offering things like Google Classroom, which is just such a wonderful tool. And they're offering all of this great enterprise-wide stuff that we haven't had in education. So well done, not saying it's perfect, but so well done. And so affordably. So yeah, I do Google, but it's because everyone else is Googling too, and it's also not that bad.
Yeah, I think the learning curve of what Google has done, and really the, the workflow of how everything comes together with the Drive and, you know, the G Suite overall, I think is really makes it, I think, second to none in a lot of ways, just the way it interacts with everything.
And then to add something, I know that, you know, this thing obviously has a date and time, and I always love when we talk technology because what we'll talk about will be outdated 6 months from now. But 2 days ago, Google Classroom added the feature to individually send assignments to students, and they also added a lot of back-end tools for software developers to be able to have their app work more eloquently in Classroom. And that was directly because educators said we need this. And that's one of the things that I adore about Google is that, you know, someone always says they're always listening. I go, yeah, they're always listening. But at the same time, they act on what people say. And so I loved seeing that update because it was something that had been, if you follow the Google Classroom hashtag, or you look at anything when they're taking feedback, it was something that was being screamed for and they replied. And you gotta like that.
So in your position now and looking at you know, the various new tech tools and things that are out there, is there something you're seeing coming up in the future? One thing that comes to mind is virtual reality. Any other things you think are going to be that kind of next thing maybe we glom onto?
That we overdo.
Yeah.
I've been really hoping augmented reality honestly would get overdone, because as a visual learner, if I had augmented reality when I was a student, oh my gosh, I would have just lapped that up. It's just so cool, and it just allows a teacher to address a visual learner as well as a text-based learner. I think virtual reality, I'm surprised that it's been here for so long. What took it so long? And the only thing I could think of is the fact someone finally got a great idea to strap a headset on a phone and turn that into a virtual reality headset, and now that's why it's here to the masses. But those are two fantastic learning tools. And what's so interesting is as I've been at this for as long as I've been at this, I kind of see technology starting to stabilize. I don't know what else we can do to an iPhone that would be earth-shattering. I don't know what else we can do to a digital camera that would be earth-shattering. I don't know what else we can do to a laptop, which will be earth-shattering. So I kind of see this stabilization, and I hope I'm wrong, because there's nothing more exciting than bumping into something that you know will have a profound impact on teachers and students. And now it's mainly looking to, I would say, the app developers and the website developers to say, okay, hit us. What do you got for us? And that's the part that's exciting me so much, is just all of the tools that are available to us today.
So this kind of is a good follow-up. I don't know if you're at the ISTE conference last year.
I was.
But I don't know if you saw Dr. Makayo Kaku. His keynote talked about medicine and education being the next two fields that are going to become digitized. And we've kind of, I think, already touched on this a little bit. Do you think that he's right, I guess? And do you think, what are your thoughts on digitizing education? And what do you think that looks like? Does it look like pretty much kids learning anywhere, anytime, or it doesn't need to be kids, it could be all of us? But
if kids can learn anyhow that works best for them, then I'm one of the happiest little presenters on the planet, because I'm such a big believer in individualized learning. And even for us as adults, I mean, we all learn differently, and to be able to effectively give an educator tools that are easy to implement, that they can then turn multiple of those tools and educate students in their individual learning style, that's fantastic. And that's why I love the fact that we have so many tools available. I agree that education and medicine are going to be digitized, but everything's going to be digitized. We're talking about technology. You know, I always laugh about technology because the wheel at one point was technology. Chalk was at one point technology. It was all technology, and it's become part of our mainstream. And I think it's kind of cool that we were at that front level. I mean, if you were around when the internet was, you know, hit boom, it's a pretty cool thing to say, because it's simply going to be part of who we are and what we do. And I think the bigger question is what's going to be, as you said, the bigger thing, because it's no longer going to be the devices we use, because we're all going to use devices, and hopefully we'll use devices that work best for us.
So you've got your keynote, and can you tell me the title? I actually have it here.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's called The Struggle to Learn is the keynote that I'm doing.
Can you give us a little taste?
I would love to, because, and I'll tell you the story about how this keynote came to be, because I'm usually known as the one who talks about my favorite tools or gadgets or augmented reality or virtual reality or whatnot. And I got approached by a very large school district, and they wanted me to do a presentation, and they said they'd never seen me present before, but the person who recommended me said, this is someone who is a troubled learner. So they said to me, were you a troubled learner? I go, yeah, and I still am. I need my own individual way to do things. And I know if I had today's tools available to me when I was a student, I would have had a different feeling about school. She goes, you didn't enjoy school? I go, no, I don't use the H word a lot, but I hated school. And when I got out of college, I was just so excited to be done with it, and I never wanted to go back to a school. And she goes, so don't you find it ironic that you've spent your entire professional life working with educators in schools? And I went, that's a really good point. And then I realized one of the reasons I do what I do is, first of all, my respect for educators. I always say jokingly that if you're an educator, it is such I'm humbled by you being an educator. The things that you do and the things that you have to go through to do what you do, it just humbles me. And if I can be the gutless one in that and go to those people that I just have so much respect for, and in the process show them what I think are tools that would have made the Leslie in elementary school, middle school, high school, and college a better student, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to give them those tools. So A Struggle to Learn is part my story. How I basically fibbed my way when the teacher would say, is everyone done reading? I would say, yes, I am. Because what student's going to go, no, not me, I'm the only one. No, everyone wait for me. How I kind of fibbed my way through school to make sure that people didn't know how tough of a time I was having with learning. And then also addressing what tools I see right now that I think would have made a big difference for me in the classroom, and I know will help those students out there right now. And it's been such an emotionally rewarding keynote for me. It's just one of those that it's just so different than any other presentation I do. And I'm approached so many times by people at the end of it that I've identified either with them or a student in their class. And I also share stories. I share stories. One of the greatest things that teachers will do is email me and tell me a good impact that I had on them or a student. And I love to share those stories, because I'm a big believer that if someone is doing right by you, share that with them. Make sure they know that. And it always gives me a spring in my step when someone says that I made a difference in their day. And I really work hard on making sure that people understand when they make a difference in my day. And that's what I try to do with educators.
Wow, I can't wait to hear it. You've got some other sessions as well.
I do. I have a workshop. It's called Tools You Can Use Tomorrow, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's fast paced, but not too crazy fast, because once again, there's a lot of tools out there, and I never know if that one tool is going to hit you and say this student or that student will need it. So that's a 3-hour workshop where I go into what I think are easy to implement, enjoyable tools for both the teacher and the student. And there might be, I was talking to the gang today at the conference, they're gonna look, because I only have the workshop and the keynote, and I said, heck, I'm there all day. Let's have some fun. So they're gonna look for if there's an open room or whatnot. So you might be seeing some announcements about some additional classes, because my whole feeling is I love to educate. I love to help educators. So if I'm there, let's go ahead and use me. And this is a shout out to teachers. I'm there all day. I actually don't fly until Thursday. So if I don't end up with other sessions, find me, send me a tweet. And let's talk, let's collaborate, let's educate each other.
That's really awesome to help kind of enrich that connection, because again, so many keynotes, they're here today, gone in just a minute. So that's awesome. I can't wait to see some of those other sessions and connect with you there.
Oh, thank you. No, it's just, you know, it's the same. If I'm there, if other people are there, I want to learn and I want to teach at the same time. So let's take advantage of that time. And the thing is I've been noticing such a uptick in conference attendees, and a lot of people thought the digital media world would change that, and it's been the exact opposite. We're seeing additional enrollment into conferences, and it's because people have a desire to put a face to the name of the people that they've been following virtually and have those moments. And they're also realizing just how great a personal learning network is. If social media has done anything, especially for educators, is to teach them the power of togetherness and sharing resources. And if that's the case, let's just keep doing that. We're together. Let's do this. Especially if it's going to help a student or a teacher.
Awesome. All right. Well, we've hit the time where it's time for the Speed Geek questions. So I'm going to bring those up on the screen. So give me a second to share my screen here. And here we go. Are you ready? You get 3 questions.
Okay, this will be fun. Let's find out. This is hysterical. I love this.
So here we go. We've got, are you a gamer and what's your game?
I am so a gamer. It is not funny how much of a gamer I am. I started with the Atari, I think it's the 2600, playing a game called Outlaw, and still today I'll play World of Warcraft. So I'm a World of Warcraft, sorry Alliance, please forgive me Horde. I'm an Alliance player.
See, I laughed at that joke, that means I got it.
I'm not a big fan of rating, so usually when I hit my level, like I hit 100 and I'm like, all right, see you next expansion. But I absolutely love, there's such a complexity to World of Warcraft that if teachers don't realize the value of teaching to the MMORPG. And I also have a PlayStation 4. I tend not to play that as much as I used to because I really love the immersive environments, and I also like the social aspect of the immersive environments. But I am such a gamer, and you would have found high school and elementary school Leslie, and even college Leslie, in arcades all through Southern California. So yes, 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 and yes.
You know, it's funny you said that. I talked to Alice Keeler, and she had said World of Warcraft made her a better teacher, and that more teachers should try it. And when I think I got to level 5, I ran out of time, but I saw exactly what she was talking about, because the way it's set up, it's objective based. It's trial and error and
communications, mathematics, economy. I have a World of Warcraft presentation. I haven't given it in a while, but one of the things I do is same kind of thing, is I share stories of. The other thing is you can have someone like a teacher who's a level 5 like you, and there's like a 12-year-old who's a level 30 who can help that teacher out. And I've just bumped into some really fun things where the tables are turned, so to speak, and the playing field is leveled when it comes to things like gaming. So I'm glad to hear that Alice said that it made her a better teacher, because I agree. It's communicating on a level that the students will understand, and also understanding where the education is in that.
Nice. All right. Well, let's dig into our next question. And what's your favorite tablet?
Tylenol. A long day. Oh,
That deserves a rim shot. There we go.
I was born the child to snarky parents. So I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I'm not a big tablet fan. It's very rare I use a tablet. I have an iPhone 6 Plus, which is the big phone, and I prefer that. And I have my MacBook, and it's going to be one of those. The only time I ever use my iPad is when I am showing it on stage, and then it's an iPad Mini because I don't want to have that gargantuan beast around. So, in insanely rare situations where I am limited to a small backpack and I know I'm going to be gone for the day, I will pack my iPad Mini. But if I had a choice, I could probably survive dandy on my iPhone 6 Plus or 7 Plus, I apologize. And I could be very content on my MacBook Pro.
Nice. Fascinating. And the last one. Oh, we did that one already. Hang on. You're supposed to take it away. And we did that one.
We didn't. But I'll do that one.
Oh, too. Your favorite app. Oh, we didn't do that. Let's do favorite app or favorite educational blog.
You know, I'll do favorite app, and favorite app is a toughie because there's so many out there. So it's tough. I mean, I'm going to say that's not fair. So I'm going to be very rude, and I'm going to give you two answers. Okay. And they're not going to be education based because you can come and see the education stuff. It'll get down to making my life easier on my noggin. And the first app is one called Calendars 5. It is iOS only, but I kind of laugh and say I think a bunch of Apple employees got drunk and wrote the Calendars app because you look at a month and it's a dot. How do you know what that dot is? Is that I'm having fun? You don't know what those dots are. And to me, that's just one extra step. And Calendars 5 syncs into Google, it syncs into iCloud, it syncs into everything. And when you boot it up, you look at a month and you see the month, you see where you're supposed to be. It's color coordinated to your Google Calendar or your iCloud or both of them. And it just is one of those that when I show it, everyone goes, ah. And then I mention it's $7 and they get snarky with me. And I'm like, $7, seriously? Let's talk about how much the coffee you got at Starbucks this morning was. So, so that one has made my life so much easier in terms of being able to look at my calendar without having extra steps. And then I'll give you another little insight, things that people don't know about me. I'm from Southern California, and I'm a very, very, very fair weather driver. If one drop of rain hits my car, I go, ah! And I get very concerned about driving on freeways. If it's pouring rain, I'll take surface streets. So imagine me when I land in a city, and it's a city I don't know, and it's pouring rain. So there's an app called My Radar Pro. And it is one of those that hooks into the radar sites. And I downloaded every single radar app that I can get my little paws on. And My Radar Pro is the closest, it's the easiest, it makes sense, it gives me the most features. And when I'm driving in a city I don't know, I have that thing running. And if I see I'm about to hit a bad spot, I pull over and wait it out versus the mystery of how long will this rain last. So that's an app that has just given me great peace of mind.
Wow. Leslie, you've given me a lot to think about. Really, you have a lot of interesting ways of reframing the technology, the EdTech field, and maybe it's because of where you started from, where you came from.
I think, thank you for that. I think it's where I came from, where I started from, and then it's also the fact that people say, oh, you know, you really seem like you have a good noggin on you, and thank you for that. But remember, I'm a troubled learner. So if I can't do something quickly in a way that makes sense to me, I'm probably not going to be able to share it. So I really, you know, things need to be very, very straightforward and basic for me. And I think that's one of the things that hopefully helps me help those teachers that might not be, you know, totally technology saturated, you know, that I can be a geek and help those people out. So thank you. That's a really nice compliment. I appreciate it.
Great, thanks. Well, I have to just say one thing. I have to show you this is my Dunder Mifflin Christmas gift this year. So I figured you were a geek, so you would appreciate it.
I'm going to just add to that and say Parks and Rec, first season, but the rest of them are great, goes hand in hand. And then if you're a Netflix person, the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt has Ellie Kemper from The Office in it. 2 seasons are on Netflix, and 30 Rock, the Jane Krakowski from 30 Rock. So if there are other people that are Office people, those are a couple shows that I'd recommend that you will laugh and have a lot of fun with.
All right. Well, my daughter's become an Office fan, so she gave me this shirt for Christmas. So
that's awesome.
All right. Well, thanks, Leslie. I can't wait to meet you at OETC, and safe travels.
Thank you. I can't wait. It's my first time at the conference. I've been wanting to be there for years and years, so I can't wait. And please, guys, if you see me, please come up and say hi. I'd love it. So thank you.
All right. Great.